You ready to test your rockets? So I'm going to show you how. You need to do a setup like this using one of our ring stands. It's in the back cupboard. We have a force sensor here that's also in the back cupboard, the aerospace cupboard, and then your little engine clamp. You'll get your engines from me, you'll get the igniters from me, and then I also have the clips right here for the ignition sequence. It's important you watch this all the way through. Safety on these rockets is really important because these things are the real deal. So this is how you're going to do your camera setup. You probably want to prop it up on something outside. I wouldn't hold it. You don't want to hold the little GoPro. You need to prop it somewhere so that after you do your countdown sequence, the camera is ready, pointed at here, and it should be pointed so that you have a lot of footage on the back side of the blast, and the rocket engine is actually kind of on the left side of the screen right here. So you're gonna sync your video footage with the actual impulse data collected on here in Logger Pro. It's pretty cool. All right, with rocket safety, you only are allowed to use the rockets that I have. You can't bring in your own. Always do a visual check of the rocket engine to make sure that everything is sound, it's all safe, there's no defects, cracks. Really important for your own safety that you double check these. Also, never reuse or repack a spent solid rocket engine, or if the igniter actually ignites but the rocket doesn't launch, then it's one of those things you don't know if it's still hot in there, so you have to let it sit for a while, make sure that I'm around. I just don't want one of these things to ignite, if you're right next to it, because it's bad. So don't brew your own fuel, don't modify the nozzle or casing, don't carve anything out to try to change how it's going to launch. You have to use an electronic launching device, and we have a little launcher. We've also used just a battery system. Don't use fuses or matches. Make sure the safety key with our launching system is removed when you connect the clips to the igniter wires. The safety key, if it's in, that means it's live. If it's out, that means it's safe. Also make sure that no one is playing with the launcher while you're at the pad. If you're at the pad hooking it up, nobody should be touching the wires or the launcher, just kind of looking at it or examining it. There should be nobody around it. That's also really important, and sometimes people forget that. Also, secure the test clamp to a firm surface with a clamp, and we've done it before where we just put bricks on one end, because if it's blasting this way, the clamp will just fall straight over. Also, clear the pad area before launching. Don't be anywhere around this thing. Now, I want you to call a countdown. It's going to feel a little weird to do this, but it is important that you do this so others in the area where it's being launched. So what I want you to say, and I'm going to say this twice so you can kind of practice this, is say preparing to launch, and then say start the camera so that we can start the recording, and then count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then launch. And then you close the circuit so that the fuse launches. So let's try it again. Preparing to launch, and you need to get some affirmation from the people around. If you just say preparing to launch, start the camera, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch, then someone is going to get their face blown off. So they should respond back, preparing to launch, and then they say, preparing to launch. And you say, start the camera, make sure that the person is starting the camera, and then you can count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But when you call out preparing to launch, they have to call it out, otherwise you cannot proceed. Really important that we follow as much safety protocols in this as is necessary, and that is necessary. All right, here is your igniter. You got a little pyrotechnic material here, and you're going to connect your clamp clips to each one of these leads. So this is how we set this up. You're going to get your igniter. You're going to put it inside the rocket engine, and you have to push it all the way down as far as it goes. Don't jam it in there, but it needs to hit the actual bottom of the rocket. That's where the fuel is. Then you bend the clip, so you bend the igniter, and then you push that little plug inside there. You put it firmly into there, and then we kind of bend the leads out to the sides. If these leads touch each other, it will short here, and the igniter will never get hot and it won't launch. So it's important that these wires don't touch or it won't launch. And here's the igniter circuit. We have a launcher that looks something like this. We've also used a different type of launch system using a couple different wire setup, so it kind of depends on what we have at the moment. But you'll put the key in, you press the key down, and that shows that it's ready. You'll have a ready light, and then you hold this launch button down after you count to one. You have to hold it down firmly and the safety key at the same time, and you just have to keep holding it down because it's going to make this thing hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter until finally the igniter ignites and then it launches. So it's not an instant thing. You got to hold it down.